going to move into February 19th through 25th as we start off President's Day with the moon in Cancer. So watery season. Here we go. Sun in Pisces. We got a moon in Cancer. I wrote down, take a sweet bath. I mean, what day is
Yeah.
better for a bath and a watery day like Monday the 19th?
Oh, yeah. With that moon in Cancer, oh, yeah. You really need to relax, let things go. Don't let things bother you, because emotions can run very high. So it would be good to just relax and chill.
Yeah, emotions run big all week and it's a full moon week.
Yeah.
And, it's Pisces season. And as much as I feel like Pisces is one of those signs that we just it tends to get the same labels, it's like, yes, it's foggy, it's creative, but it's karmic. And
Mhm.
that's the part sometimes that I think is a little bit hard to explain. But when you look at Pisces as the last sign of the zodiac, right? Then in some ways we're looking back at that whole year before, right?
Exactly.
We're kind of reflecting. It's almost like an end of year summary.
Yeah. It's like it's got all the experience of all the other signs right there. So that's probably why it's so heavy and laden with so much because it's gotten everything that's happened before is kind of there.
Yeah,
Um,
to me, it's
all,
like the body, right? Like the body remembering everything, right?
mhm. And it
It's,
is the 12th house. So just think of it, we've gotten to the end. So you have to transform to go back to the first house because it's also the sign of transformation.
yeah, it almost feels like being reborn, like you can't take everything with you. So it's almost
Exactly.
like we're cleaning up. Pisces is cleanup season, but some of
Hmm.
the cleanup requires kind of sitting in it. And if it's foggy, then we need time to process what it is exactly that we are ready to let go of.
Exactly. Because it's also can be like a confining energy. So sometimes you have to sit with it in order to break free, in order to change.
Absolutely. And, up here in New England, this is a great time to be hibernating, right? This is a great time for it. So you can take advantage of this Pisces season to let yourself sit in those emotions, let yourself process what's all gone on this past year. And sometimes I think that our mind thinks one thing that we're where we
Mhm.
are in our process, but the body remembers a lot different. I've told the story a few times of going to get a massage. And obviously, the woman who was working on me must have been pretty psychic because she told me a story. She said, I'll never forget that you told me that story about what happened to you. And I said, what story? And she proceeded to tell me this whole story. And I knew that story. And it happened when I was 19. And I had never told anyone that story. But my
Wow.
body told her the story of having a massage and feeling very unsafe. Right. And so the body remembers, is my point. The body remembers. And so during Pisces season, our mind might say, yeah, okay, I've dealt with that and I've processed that and I've got that and I'm going to therapy for that. But the body needs us to sit in it and to listen to it and to
Hmm.
process it and to release it. I think that's why I like baths so much because you can do all that and you can
Yeah.
watch it all go down the drain.
Exactly. Yeah. And you're in a kind of a confined space, but it's good because it's soothing and it's warm and it's kind of where you need to be in order to move on. But yeah, it's not, it's actually a good sign because it does help you to release a lot of things if you're open to it.
If you're open to it, otherwise you're probably just going to be swimming in it.
Yeah, or else you're going to be
Right.
swimming in it. Yeah, you got to
Right.
be willing to let things go.
Right. So it's a good time right now to be looking at that and not trying to just come up with the answers, observing what your body's telling you. So that's
Hmm.
why I think this is a great time for baths, candlelit baths, and see what emotions are coming up. Maybe after you get out of it, journal quick what came up. Because sometimes it's just memories, it's just all sorts of different things, but it kind of shows you what's coming up to the surface and what needs to come out.
Yeah, because that's when you're relaxed. You're all almost in like a meditative state. So that is a good time then to journal afterwards if you've had a nice relaxing bath.
Absolutely. So I wrote down for Wednesday, the 21st, don't fall in love with the love bombing. Learn the definition of manipulation. And There was a few reasons why I wrote that, but it came over pretty strongly to me. So just be careful. We see a lot of people who have extreme behavior will show us like, ah, Pisces is foggy and it can be very emotional. It can be very uh, poetic and sensual and romantic. But just be aware of that everything you see might not be true, especially on Wednesday, the 21st.
Exactly, exactly. Don't believe everything you see. And also, sometimes Pisces only want you to see what they want you to see, so you don't get to see the whole truth because they're not always facing it within themselves, so they're not about to show you.
Absolutely. Now, Thursday the 22nd, do what you want. The drama level is a little high. There's like a high thermostat there on the 22nd with the moon in Leo. And on Friday the 23rd, as Mercury, the planet of communication, moves into the sign of Pisces, right, which is a psychic placement,
Hmm.
which, you know, I say to people a lot, oh, this is a psychic placement. Doesn't mean that you have to be a psychic. It just means that you probably speak nonverbal. You probably, if you have this placement in your chart, or during this period, you may find that you receive information in different ways other than your ears.
Exactly. I know I've said that to people. You know, you're going to get messages sometimes in totally different ways. You could just be walking down the street and something will pop into your head, or you'll hear a bird sing, it'll remind you of something, or a phone will ring. It's all different ways that you might get a message. So you just have to be open to that.
Yes. And remember that the body is, when people have that natally, Mercury and water signs, like Patty and I both do. I think we
Hmm.
both have it in Scorpio, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So remember that the sometimes emotion is speaking to us. There's a little, you know, I talk a lot about the difference between being afraid and then having your gut intuition, right? There's a little, and it takes a little while to navigate the difference, but
Exactly.
you can start to feel that you feel something immediately. Maybe you can't place it or you don't understand it or you don't want to believe it. But as you do this exercise, and this time of year with Mercury and Pisces is a good time to do this kind of exercise where you just see, I felt that, and you pay attention to see if it's true later on. I find that most often what comes through to watery Mercuries, their accuracy rate's pretty high.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of intuitive people out there who just don't pay attention to their intuition. This is a time to really do that. Take a step back, listen to what you're hearing, don't dismiss it. And then again, if something doesn't happen then, wait and see if it happens in the future. Trust your intuition. It's there for a reason.
I talk a lot about dread. I think dread is an very great navigational tool to in general when we're talking about
Yeah.
using our intuition, right? Because dread is kind of our way, our body saying, you know, it's like, are we afraid, or is it that we know that something isn't there for us?
Mm.
I like to use dread as a navigation tool.
Sometimes it's because the challenge seems too big when it really isn't. Sometimes it's just a challenge and you feel dread as a water sign. I can definitely attest to that. I feel
Yeah.
dread because I'm comfortable being in my watery little place and not stepping out of my comfort zone. But I recognize that's what it is. Not that something awful is going to happen, that it's just me and I
Yeah.
have to push through that energy. So yeah, you have to recognize when that's what it is, when it's just maybe a challenge you feel you're afraid of, or something you really need to pay attention to and maybe not do that thing or go to that place or speak to that person, but really pay attention to that.
Right. And I think Pisces season is a great time to like observe how many times that you felt that you
Mhm.
knew and then you made the decision otherwise. And now is a good time to say, hey, you know, I did that a few times this year. And I realize now that I need to pay attention to how I felt in the first place. Right. I know
Yeah, so that would
personally,
be good to journal about. Write that down and
great
then
thing
look
to
back on it and say, oh, I was right. So if you think you might forget it, maybe you start writing that stuff down. Then you have
yes,
something to look back on.
love it. So speaking of writing, we're heading into a full Virgo moon. So on Friday the 23rd, my advice was to take it easy. Remember, it's a full moon week. Then we move into the full moon on Saturday. 7:30 a.m. This is the 5-degree moon, full moon in Virgo. And this is where we were talking earlier, Patty, a little bit about the challenge to accept the mess, is what I wrote down while you were
Mhm.
talking. So do you want to just give a little update on that again?
Yeah, we were talking about the full moon in Virgo. Now, Virgo, of course, wants everything to be perfect. The full moon is releasing things. Maybe you need to release some of those expectations of perfection. Nothing is ever going to be perfect. And you've got Mercury and Saturn opposing you, trying to push you into a certain way of doing things. So it is time to let go of things, accept that things aren't going to be perfect, and actually accept that in yourself and others, because you're probably being really hard on yourself and other people. And as I told you, as a Virgo, I can attest to that. You really
Yeah,
just have to let go of that, or else you're going to drive yourself crazy and you're going to drive other people crazy. But
right.
nothing is perfect. And sometimes it's good to just accept that, to just sit with that. It is a challenge, but that's the full moon. Let go of that. Let go of expectations. Think of things, even write down what you want to let go of.
Love it.
Sometimes it could be even letting go of relationships. Maybe some relationship isn't working out for you and your expectations are too high. So is it you or the other person? So it's a good time to examine that as well.
Fabulous. Fabulous. All right. And that moon is opposite Mercury and Saturn, and it's trine Jupiter. And like I was saying in the opening comments, that I think it's a good time to just kind of go back through old notes, old plans, old
Mhm.
ideas. Again, the moon was in Virgo on New Year's Eve. So now that we come up to this full Virgo moon, kind of brings that theme up even more so of redoing and reevaluating and reinvestigating and renegotiating, all that stuff. So this is an excellent weekend for that. And on
Yeah.
Sunday, we move into some last minute plans maybe popping up on Sunday. And so go have fun on the 25th. Oh, and we're going to pull a few tarot cards.
Oh, that's right.
So let's
Okay.
pull a couple tarot cards for this week, President's Day week, February 19th through 25th. See what everybody needs to know. Do you want to start?
Okay. Let me pull my two.
Mhm. Oh, lovely.
Got the Queen of Swords. Look at that. That's a very straightforward. This is somebody who doesn't pull any punches. So don't be afraid to speak your truth.
Yeah.
Um, it could lead to something new and something very fruitful. I kind of like this. So this is
Yeah.
about honesty and directness, and I feel like it's creating a new world, a new foundation, a new way of moving forward. So this is the Queen of Swords and the Ace of Pentacles in the Dark Mansion Tarot deck.
I
But I
love it.
like this. Yeah, I like
Yeah.
this a lot. I like this straight talking, and that's going to lead to something really positive and really good.
And I know the Queen of Swords is air, but like I can't help but think Virgo. Like when I see the Queen of Swords, I always kind of feel Virgo because Virgo's ruled by Mercury. The
Oh,
Queen
yeah,
of
she
Swords
doesn't
is,
pull any punches. You're
right?
right. This is
Yeah.
very direct. She's not afraid to go after what she wants. She'll start something new. She'll do it alone or she'll do it with others, but she will start something new.
Well, great. And I have very complementary cards to that. I have the partner, the King of Swords,
Ah,
right? I love that he's in a wheelchair. I think that's the coolest King of Swords. So he's unstoppable. He has his helpers there with him. He is in a position of power. He will not be stopped.
mhm.
Okay. And then I also kind of like your Ace of Pentacles. I got the Empress.
Nice.
Isn't that cool? She's wearing a mask.
Mm.
Interesting, huh? Which is so weird. Think about babies having to learn parents' faces, right? And the whole period of masks. I didn't even think of that. So this is number 3, and it says there is beauty to be found in every experience.
Wow.
So these are your cards. Yeah. So have fun the week of 2/19 through 2/25.